Hello everybody, this is Gray Hughes. How are you guys doing? So with us now is Misty, and she's on the phone and she can see my screen and everything. So when we go through the timeline again, she'll be able to see what we're talking about. All right.
Hi.
Yeah. How have you been during? I mean, this coronavirus deal has really put a hamper on things.
Yeah, it's it along with what it does for people not being able to work. We haven't been able to search like we have been. We actually had our first search last week, and I kind of got creative on how to approach homeowners. I got phone numbers and I called, and I wasn't able to get anybody to call me back. So then I sent letters, and one property owner actually received my letters. The other letters, for some reason, weren't deliverable. So I got those back. But one homeowner got it, and he called me and he let us search his property. Took us two times last week to do it. And then today I went out and just knocked on someone's door, and he was really nice. So we're actually going to do another search tomorrow. So,
oh wow.
I've already been called out by somebody in North Plains for, not following social distancing and, being out there during the shelter in place order. And so, I just was kind of trying to be respectful of people out there, and people everywhere, so.
Yeah. Do you guys wear masks and everything, or?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Stay 6 feet apart. We're trying to stay safe too, because, I take this seriously.
Yeah.
But, my daughter's still critically missing. So it's like, pandemic or no pandemic, I have to be looking for her.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. It's just, man, what a nightmare that is, though, logistically, for first since March, like 15th, around that time.
Yeah.
So I mean, most people on my channel already know, the case, but I mean, I'd like to go over it again with the timeline, because there's actually a lot of new people that are on my channel since the days we were covering this. I think she went missing on the 22nd. That's the last sighting of December,
Yes.
right?
December 22nd, 2019.
Okay, and let me just and I think it's your brother-in-law, right? That made a timeline. Is that who he is?
Yes.
Trevor.
Yes, Trevor. Yep.
Yeah, he made a really good timeline a while back, and maybe we can just go through that, and then you can add to it or take away if it's become not true since then, something like that.
Sure.
Starts off saying 4 p.m. Allyson leaves the house and is in regular contact with you with text messages. Is that
yes
right?
Yep.
Okay, and you just regular typical texting conversation.
Yeah, her and I, we know when she's out with her friends, her and I message back and forth with each other, so several times a day. So yeah, I think I talked to her through messaging probably 3 times that night.
Right. So then Ben and Allyson, that same evening, they go to a barbecue party. Now I just want to make sure I have this correct. I don't know if you can see this, but this is that Corey Road that goes around.
Yes.
And then I was told later that it was actually over here in this sort of, like, where you have to go up that side back road to get to.
Yeah, that's exactly where that's at. Yeah, the house. So you have to go down a really long driveway, and then the kids that they were hanging out with, the houses right there.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting knowing that it was there, how close it is to where, Ben's found the next day. But that's moving ahead in the timeline. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just interesting there.
Yeah.
All right. So then that Saturday, December 20th, they stayed overnight after doing the barbecue, right? And then they stayed all the way the next day until the early evening, or is it even later evening?
No, I think it's just maybe evening. I think they left there around like 8-ish.
Okay, so 8. But then it says, the timeline, at 11 p.m. the pair dropped off at a Max station in Hillsboro. Do you know what was going on between, like, in those 3 hours there? Like, did they go to somebody's house or?
Um, I'm pretty sure that Allison had stopped by here to change some clothes or whatever, made herself a sandwich, just because there was like, I don't know,
Oh wow.
little sandwich stuff out on the counter and stuff. So, thinking back now, it's like, I'm pretty sure she had stopped by the house. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Let's see. And then, so they're dropped off at a Mac station in Hillsboro,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, doesn't her? And then at 1:30 a.m., so 2.5 hours later, her phone connects to a Wi-Fi somewhere in the
Yes.
vicinity. Do you know where that was
Um,
now? Because
it's over in Hillsboro, over by 25th. It was kind of by the fire station, um, that they were made
yeah.
one of the phone calls from Sunday morning.
Okay, so they were in that general area then,
Yeah.
even at
So,
1:30
and
in the morning.
going
Huh.
back really quick, Gray,
Uh-huh.
we also, the girl that had been driving them around Saturday night, she actually confirmed with us that they did stop by here, and Allison did come in for a short period of time and then came back out to her car, and then they left. So,
Huh.
um,
That's a totally new thing. I don't know if it
yeah,
changes much, but it's interesting,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, even every small detail is very important.
Yeah.
It's kind of shows us what, you know, where she's at on the timeline. So,
And what part of town do you live in? I mean, just
I
in a
live in
general
yeah,
area?
I live in Tannisbourne, so I live in like, kind of like a suburban area of Hillsboro,
Yeah.
exactly 5 miles away from North Plains, 5 or 6 miles.
Let me see. Let me just. I think I've driven through there before. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So right, it's not too far away from the Winco actually that they.
No,
Yeah.
it's about a mile away from the Winco.
Okay, so in that area, so everything's pretty close in there. That's interesting though. So she did make it home,
Yeah.
and then at 1:30, it the phone pinged basically using
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. And the reason, maybe you could just quickly, I'll quickly tell the story of the Wi-Fi. I can do it. You had a phone that she had a phone that broke, but it was kind of a new phone. You were going to fix it, and then you were at the place of work. There happened to be somebody in there that lost their phone, but randomly found they had bought a new phone, but then found that old phone, and you had a
Yeah.
conversation something about it. Then they ended up giving you that phone, and you guys decided you didn't put it back onto a plan. It just sort of worked in Wi-Fi situations, right?
Yes, we were actually going to get her phone. I was going to pay for it to be fixed
Yep.
at Christmas time, and we never got to. I never got to do that. So, yeah, it was just like a temporary phone.
Yeah, and it backed up to the cloud right there. So then
Yeah.
so there's some, they must be in that general area then from, you would think, because they seem to be on foot from
Yeah.
1:30 to 7 a.m. because at 7 a.m. maybe you can describe what happened at the fire station because that's next.
Well, so, I'm not really sure what they were doing between when they got dropped off until they got to the fire station. However, they did say to the people at the fire station, they asked to use the phone because they said they had been robbed at knife point. So Ben called his mom to come pick them up for a ride. And, the fire station people were like, this is kind of weird. So they ended up calling the police anyway, because they were like, hey, we can call the police. And they're like, no, 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 it's fine. We're just going to get a ride. So they ended up calling the police anyway. Well, the police show up, and at the same time, Ben's mom shows up, and they're like, no, 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 we don't want to talk to you. The police officer are like asking him like, oh, they said you'd been robbed at knife point. And they're like, no, we don't want to talk to you. And, that Allison's actually seen on body cam by the police. She looked fine. She was, very nice and polite, and just said, no, we have a ride now, and we don't need any assistance. So,
Did you ever see that footage yourself?
they offered to let me see it. I can't watch it.
Yeah, I was thinking that must be
right now.
that'd be difficult to see.
It's too traumatizing right now. So maybe at some point I can watch it. Right now I just can't.
Okay, so they're there, and then it's strange because then Ben's mom picks them up and then just takes them to Winco and drops them off, right?
Yeah. So she had told me that she took them and bought them a pie and then dropped them off at Winco. And she said they seemed in good spirits. So
a pie. I mean, what does that mean? Where do you buy a pie? I mean, it must have been
I'm not exactly sure, but I've heard that there's a guy in North Plains. They call him the Pie Guy, and somebody said that he has like a stand out in front of his place that you can actually like leave the money for and then take a pie. So they may have done that, or she may have bought them a pie at Winco. It's just, I don't know, just randomly buying pies at 7:00 in the morning on Sunday. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, a pie. And
just adds to the weirdness of the story,
Yeah, and it's just weird too. Like, man, they were robbed at gunpoint, and
knife point.
Knife point. I mean, and then you're gonna drive them to a Winco and drop them off after buying a pie. I mean, you'd think they'd be kind of nervous at that point.
Well, I mean, it's a mile away from the house. I don't understand why Allyson just didn't come home.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that was at 7:30 at the Winco, and then apparently at 8:30, she sent you a text message. The same.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. She said, "Hey, Mom." She said, "I spent the night with Ben last night. We stayed where he's staying. He's doing good. He's doing better, but not the greatest. He's working." And then she said, "I'll be home tonight. I love you so much." And that's the last time that I have heard from my daughter.
Wow. Okay, so then at 9:30, another interesting thing that nobody really knows exactly what's going on, but that was at 8:30 when you got the text, and then both of them end up now there's a stolen truck involved, right? They're in a pickup truck that's stolen. And right here at this property.
Yes. Ben drove into that property. He drove up and he went around, made like a U-turn up there.
Yeah.
Exactly like you're doing.
Yeah.
And then stopped right in front of the house and asked the guy that lives there if he knew where some farm was. And I don't remember if the guy knew what farm he was asking about, but he was like, "No, I don't know where that's at." And so he said, he kind of took off real quick, hightailed it out of there and went out. If you take your cursor down that map, he actually went and took he went down that road real fast, he said.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you ever verified. So he went really fast. So at this point, it's sort of that getting out of there really fast, and even just kind of going into that place, there could be a possibility that they're hiding from somebody. Right. And so is there any validity to where that maybe they were sighted right in this area? Because I remember I was told that on...
What area is that? I'm sorry, I can't see it on the...
Yeah, it's hard to see it even for me. It's like northwest...
What road is that?
Linnea or Linnea, something like that. And Linnea Drive.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I haven't heard that about that sighting. So...
Okay, so they went that direction. So they went left. I wonder where they went.
Yeah, I know that they somehow got up to Collins Road with the truck.
Up here.
Yeah, by, 10:00, 10:30-ish.
Yeah. Good. Well, what's strange is taking that left, though, you can't, it'd be really hard to get there. They must have came back at another time. You just don't see them.
Yeah.
Okay. So Collins Road. And so they probably would have had to drive down here. Now, I've showed this before, how crazy it is, because Collins Road is up here. And so they must have taken, however they would have got there, probably if, let's see, where is that? So this is where the farm is. Maybe they just drove up like this and around. And then up like this at some point. And then, now tell us what happened then with the truck and everything.
Well, they left the truck there and went on foot, and they went on foot, and we believe they went through the back way over to Pumpkin Ridge and where Shipley Road is, because we also believe that the backpack that was found on the Shipley Road and Pumpkin Ridge, we believe that she dropped that before they made the phone call at Sally's.
Okay, so that is out. That's known now. I don't know if I would.
Yes, because
Okay.
Sally doesn't remember her having a backpack.
Okay, good. Okay, at
So,
least you know that. So
yeah,
wow. Okay, great. So she dropped the backpacks here. Then they make it
yeah,
out to Pumpkin Ridge Road. Then they make it up to, um, Sally's house. And
yes.
then maybe you can describe. And then there's stuff that, if you leave out, or maybe that I don't know, I can fill it in. Or so go ahead.
Um, well, what we do know is that Sally has stated that um, somebody was kind of like knocking on their door really hard, and when they opened the door, um, Ben and Allyson were there, and they were insistent on coming in and using the phone, and she was a little weary of them, so she said, no, let's step outside. And she said, they said that they had been in an accident, we need to use your phone. And she said, okay, well, let me go ahead and let's call the authorities. And Ben said, no, no, no. And they turned around to walk away. Like, no, we don't need the authorities. And she said, wait a minute, come back here. And they came back. She said, here, fine, you can use the phone. And she gave Allyson a drink of water. And Ben made a few phone calls. And he was not wearing shoes. Allyson was actually wearing his shoes. And she said that Allyson had stated that she lost her shoes somewhere, and Ben let her wear his. So Sally gave him a pair of her husband's slippers to be able to walk around in. And Sally had stated that she noticed how Allyson seemed really scared and in shock, and she was muddy, like almost as if she had jumped out of a car. Like the side of her was muddy and wet, and she just looked like she was not in a good place. So, and then she had stated that they kept. There was a car right there, Sally's big truck, and they kept kind of hiding behind of it, like they were hiding from somebody. So they made their phone call. They called. He called his mom and his grandmother, and his grandmother agreed to come pick them up. So,
Yeah, and then I think what we know after this situation, they actually headed down after they were at Sally's house. They headed south on Pumpkin Ridge Road, and they were actually seen here by a FedEx driver right around in the same area where there was a jacket. Was it Ben's jacket that was
it
over
was
the
Ben's
fence?
jacket.
Yeah, over that fence, and you showed me pretty much where it was there.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it was, and then so the FedEx driver drove by, and then that's actually the last known sighting of Allyson, right? Right then.
Yes.
So about 11:25, and then let's see. We do have proof that the grandmother actually was called and did drive up there, because somewhere up here she. I think she stopped at a house and asked where that location was. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, she actually stopped it. She was on surveillance. So my brother-in-law is a good friend of his, actually lives up on Pumpkin Ridge, and she had pulled into his driveway and turned around and was asking the man that lived there, about Pumpkin Ridge and kind of where to go. And so they have all this on surveillance. So it's definitely for sure she was there, and she definitely for sure was trying to find them.
Yeah, and then she does a U-turn and drives down, because they were told, again, at Sally's house, they told Ben and Allyson to go down to the confluence of Pumpkin Ridge and Old Pumpkin Ridge, right where there's like a little, almost looks like a community. It's like this little, there's like 5 or 6 homes all kind of in this one area. So that's where they told them to meet the grandmother, and the grandmother headed back down there. And I guess Ben said that he did see the grandmother, right?
Yes. He said that he did see the grandmother, but they were too scared to get into the car. So,
see, that's just so interesting, because it's a legit story, that that Ben actually did call the grandmother.
Yeah.
But then maybe there was somebody on that road that was just there and they don't want to be seen, right?
Right.
Okay. So my dog's starting to growl. I can hear him. He's going to bark at probably the mailman out there. All right. Hey, Blue. Let's see. Then now we're moving on to the next day. Are you guys discounting that one sighting that lady mentioned at 5:30?
We're not discounting it. It's just, at this point, we've had a hard time, nailing it down 100%. I mean, what we did do is some of the properties around there, we have searched. So
that's right.
Just to kind of, give some of that some validity, but she can't 100% say that it was him.
Okay. So then at 6 a.m., you get up for work. Maybe you can describe what was going on.
So 5:36, I wake up for work and I go make coffee and I notice Allyson isn't home. So immediately I go into her messenger, and I can get to her messenger through my phone because she had used my phone before and she was still logged in. So I go into her messenger and I start messaging like the top 5 people in her that she had been, chatting with the last couple of days. And I said, hey, this is Allyson's mom. She didn't come home last night. Have you seen her? And of course, everybody said no, they hadn't. And I get to Molly Garland, and I didn't know that was Ben's mother at the time. I thought it was his sister. So I'm kind of chatting with her. Hey, have you seen Allyson and Ben? And she said, yeah, I actually saw them yesterday. I picked them up. I gave them a ride. I bought them a pie, and I gave them a ride to Winco. So, later on it was established later on in the afternoon that was Ben's mom. So I'd been chatting with her all that day. That was Monday, kind of back and forth. Hey, have you heard anything? Have you seen have you seen or heard anything from Ben or Allyson? And she had stated no, she hadn't heard a word. So
she didn't mention even the crucial, them being at the police station. I mean, the fire station. Excuse me.
She didn't mention that. She didn't mention a lot of things actually that actually had partaken in that day with Ben. Ben coming back to their house without her.
Yeah. Well,
them out looking for her in the woods. They were actually out there looking for her without letting me know. So. Yeah.
And let's see. So then around 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, I guess there isn't really a specific time. I thought it was more around 7. Where
when they called me, his parents?
Let's see. It says 6 to 7 a.m. is when they find Ben. I'm still back
in the morning. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're right. So a man named Ralph Medea goes out to his car about 6:30, 7 o'clock a.m. and finds Ben sleeping in his truck. And, Ben says, hey, don't be mad. He gives a story as to, why he's in his truck. Said he was seeking shelter from the rain and that his friend and his girlfriend had a bonfire the night before and they left him there, is what he told Ralph. And that story is actually, I got that from Ralph himself. So, so he says, okay, well, do you need a ride home? And he says, yeah. So he gives him a ride home. Doesn't mention to him that his girlfriend's out in the woods. Doesn't mention one word about Allyson being out there. He says that they left him the night before. So.
Yeah, so that's his third. That's the third story, right? You got the robbing at knife point. You got the car breaking down. You got left at a bonfire.
Yeah.
That doesn't even really make any sense.
Right.
Being left at a bonfire. Okay, but one of the interesting things, I don't know if it's still what you guys have come up with, but the last time I was out there I tried to talk to Ralph once, but he said he talked to so many people he didn't want to talk anymore. But then later on, it looked like there was some posters being removed down there.
Yes. And yes, Ralph is going around North Plains, removing the missing posters that I had of her.
Yeah, and I even found the location. I don't know if you can see it on the map, but this is where the one where he's on surveillance is right in that general area there.
Right.
So it's not, but it's weird because it's not something that should be bothering him. It's not next to his driveway. It's way down the road there.
Well, there was like a few, down Old Pumpkin Ridge Road, we had put them on all of the light posts, and there was one, right outside of his house, but
Yeah. And if he
that's
wants
where
to,
she went. That's
right.
where she is supposedly went missing from. Why? I don't understand the problem as to why it'd be an issue to him.
Yeah, and the thing is it's even more reasonable to remove the one that's always right there on his light post, right? It's weird to go down the road,
and I could totally understand that.
Yeah.
But to go down the road, Old Pumpkin Ridge Road, and down even by McDonald's and all around North Plains to take those down, not okay.
No, I totally disagree, and it was weird just watching how that went down. It was very bizarre. So that was 6 to 7, and then he drives Ben home, and then what happens then?
So Ben comes home, and and this is secondhand information. Goes in. His mom makes him something to eat. I'm not sure if they talked about Allyson or not, but apparently it's not brought up that Allyson is out in the woods until noon, when Ben's dad gets home and says he works graveyard or whatever. So he gets home around then, and he says, where have you been? And where's Allyson? And he said, well, she freaked out. So I left her in the woods. And so he tells them a story, and he actually told me a different story on the phone. I had his dad have him call me from jail so I could talk to him about, why did you leave my daughter in the woods? And he said that she was too tired and couldn't go anymore, and that they thought they heard police. And she just said, I can't do, they thought they heard police dogs. And she's like, I can't do dogs, and like just walked away from him. And that was the last time he saw her. But, there's been so many stories as to how they parted that I just don't know which one to believe,
Yeah, neither of those two actually make much sense, those two stories.
No. No.
You wouldn't just leave. And it sounds like, I mean, just you know them. Does it seem like Ben did care, about Allyson?
He was always, it was kind of a new relationship. He was always, nice to her and loving towards her. And I've heard from several people that when they were together, he would always be making sure she had everything she needs. And, so I can't sit here and say that he was ever, abusive or mean, because he wasn't. So
yeah, and he actually let her use his shoes. So there's this weird contradictory information,
Yep, exactly.
So let's see. So then that was, so Ben is at his father's house, and it looks like there's a straight road. Actually, it's weird now that I look at this again. But if you go down Collins, this road that you would have had to take to go to Collins, I guess it's Shady Brook, and then you would take that, you cross over Highway 26, and then you just drive down here, and then boom, you're at home pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's only like a 10-minute drive, I think we figured out.
Yeah, it's only about 10 minutes. So apparently they go and drive up there, and they start looking for Allyson.
So that's around noon,
a few hours.
Yeah, so like he was at home for 4 or 5 hours, and then his dad came home, and his dad said, hey, where's Allyson? And then they drove out there, right?
Yes.
And then maybe you could tell us what happened with the truck out there. I mean, maybe you don't know specifically, but you can.
Well, I just, what I heard was that Ben said, hey, let's go up to this road, this house. And he jumps out and he says, I'm going to go get my truck. And his dad's like, your truck? He says, yeah, I have a truck. And so he goes and gets in his truck, and he says, follow me over to Charlie's house. And so he takes the truck over to Charlie's, and Dawn follows him up there. And then Ben leaves the truck up there and gets in the car with his dad.
That's, it's just that whole maneuver there. I mean, who told you that? I mean, I don't know if you can tell me that, but but you know that story from somewhere.
I think it was told to me from the Garlands. So.
Okay, and then he drove it all the way back to where the party location was, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of hidden in a way, right? I mean, if you
Yeah.
have to drive up there. So it's there, and then the father at about 5:30 calls police and says we have a missing person, but they're 5.5 hours had gone by that they were out there looking.
Right.
You know, and you'd think they would have called you during that time, because I'm sure you would have dropped everything and gone out and helped.
Oh, absolutely. I wish they would have, you know.
Yeah, I actually don't understand why they didn't do that, to be honest with you.
I wish that Molly would have said something to me at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning when I had been messaging her that, you know, oh, hey, Ben came home without her. Because I would have dropped instantly, went out and looked for her.
That's a good point, because you actually she texted you at 8:30, right? So had you known, if the mother had called you and said, hey, you know, they were just at the police station, I mean, not the police station, the fire station.
And they said, and there was an accident.
Yeah, then you would have followed up on that text from Allyson and been like, hey, you know. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Just, wow, what a missed opportunity that was. Wow.
Huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's just seems pretty irresponsible. Let's see. So what else? You guys have searched. I've been out there a few times with you guys, but you guys have been all over the place out here, right?
Yeah,
searching.
we've searched probably 30 properties, and there's still so many more to go. You know, it's just.
Yeah.
You know, I just have to keep doing it, though. I have to keep going back out there, and I have to do everything in my power to try and find her. You know, it's
interesting now that you know that the backpack, that Sally said the backpack, they didn't notice the backpack. She didn't notice it. That it was probably there first. That it makes this area here less likely now, because that means they went here, up here, and then we're seen going down this way, and then Ben ends up down here anyway. So it's more like over here now, you know. But what's weird about Ben is where in the hell was he from, let's just say noon, until the next morning at 7? That's literally 17 hours, just right there, right?
Yeah, and literally we know nothing. We know there was no sightings, nothing. And, you know, we're trying to dig hard for that information, and nobody's come forward with that information. So we just don't know.
But he's not ever filled in the police, because, I mean, he should have been awake at noon. Like, he's at noon. He's walking around with Allyson at the time, and he's going down Pumpkin Ridge Road. So he should have memory.
He said he parted from her about 3 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay, well, great. Where was she for those other 3 hours?
Right.
You know, like, where were they when they parted ways? That's what I want to know.
Well, he said that they parted ways on Bill Gaydon's property.
So they were just hanging out. So right where I flew the drone that first night.
Yeah.
Right here. Well, what were they doing there?
Just hanging out in their backwoods, you know, because when you go on, you can see up the Corey Road, there's a straightaway you can walk through the woods to go to that property on Corey Road.
Yeah. So why did they hang out in the woods and not just walk over to their buddy's house down there? It's so close.
Right. Yeah. I have no idea.
And maybe they did. That's just part of the story that, you know, but then again, why is Ben sleeping? It's mind boggling. He's sleeping in a car at 7 in the morning. It's just
so bizarre, you know, the things that, you know, that he said, and, you know, it's like which parts are believable and which aren't, you know, because there's been so many lies told. I just don't know what to believe.
Yes,
you know?
So I wonder why he would sleep there and not just go down to the friend's house, which is literally, let me just see how close it is to where Ralph is. That's it's just a half mile, you know?
Right.
And easy to get to, because there's even a trail. Like, literally, you just have to walk through this little bit thicker part of the woods, and then it's wide open. And it's even, you know, you can go down here on this actual road that goes up to here,
Mm-hmm.
or just walk across the field there.
Right.
And he's never given an explanation of what he was doing in the 3 hours between noon and 3. Yeah, I'm just hanging out in the woods. I mean,
Not that
who's doing that?
not that I've heard. You know, he may have told law enforcement what he was doing, but they haven't passed that information along to me. So
Yeah, but it was the Allison wasn't texting you as much as she would. Let's say she really was there and she went to a bonfire later in the evening and all that. Wouldn't she have texted you a couple times?
yes.
Yeah. But I guess she'd have to be in use somebody else's phone though, right?
Well, and I mean, she would have, you know, her and I had kind of have a deal. You know, she knows to message me no matter where she's at, what's going on, just let me know she's okay. And she does, and she did. And so the fact that I didn't hear from her at all on Sunday evening is very alarming to me, you know.
When she texted you at 8:30 in the morning the day before,
Yeah.
was that from the phone that she has?
Yes.
So somehow it went through the Wi-Fi somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if police know exactly where that location was.
Yeah.
Because that was after the fire station.
Yes.
Huh. So you got all right. So maybe she just wasn't able to use her phone when she's out in that area because there's no Wi-Fi.
Right.
But do you think she would have used Ben's though?
I think he just had a Wi-Fi only phone also.
Oh.
But, you know, if they were around anybody, she would say, "Hey, can I use your phone?" And she would message me or call me. So,
Yeah. Well, wow, that was really just really nicely concise. We got through that really clearly. I think we've gone over that same timeline before. But you added a lot of like texture to it, really.
yeah.
So I appreciate that. So what do you want? What should people be doing? I mean, are there searches that people can sign up?
So I basically just have the same group of people doing the searches, so we don't really need volunteers at this point. I have the same group that they go with us every single time. They know what they're doing. There's kind of a process that you have to go through with being kind of a search and rescue operation. You know, what people can be doing is, you know, talking with each other, listening to information. If you know people that live in North Plains, if you live in North Plains and I have not done a ground search of your property, please reach out to me. You know, I want to search everywhere in North Plains. I want to go and the surrounding areas. You know, we come on your property. We have everyone sign waivers, takes off any responsibility of the property owner. You know, if somebody gets hurt, it's not on them. You know, we're respectful. We do a ground search. We get in there and we get out. And, you know, but I have to know that I'm doing everything possible as a mother to look for my child, you know.
Yeah.
And if you see it on Facebook, please share her picture. You know, awareness is everything. Awareness is what's going to bring her home. And my advice to anybody who thinks they may know or hear something, call it into the tip line, you know, 503-846-2700. And, you know, let law enforcement, you know, work on it. You know, we're in the process of having more law enforcement help with the investigation. So, you know, we have a private investigator who, you know, people can reach out to.
Well, what we're probably going to do, we'll donate a big chunk of the donation money at the end of the month back to the let's see, the Kyron Horman Foundation, but earmarked for Allyson Watterson, right?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it helps out with the detective and
it does. Yeah.
All
the money that all the money that we put in there goes to pay for him and, you know, any like awareness, like t-shirts and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you having, you know, investigating this on your show. You know, we have to keep talking about it. She's still very critically missing. it's still something that I think about 24/7. She is literally on my mind 24/7. I'm constantly worried about if she's safe. Is somebody harming her? Is she being held somewhere? Like these things are constantly racing through my mind every second of the day. And, you know, we have to keep talking about her. She's such an important person in our family's lives and my lives and so many other people's lives. You know, we have to find her, and we have to make this, the awareness for this, you know, huge. We can't forget about her. I will never forget about her, but people can't forget about her. She would never forget about you. So,
yeah,
honestly.
But well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'll probably stay on for a few minutes, but
that's fine. Thank you, Gray. I always appreciate you, and you know, I consider you a friend. So thank you.
I consider you a friend too. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking checked ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody, talk to you later.